Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group Theories of Translation subject. Will be discussed about history of translation. The first speaker is RAUDHAOTUL HUSNA. RAUDHAOTUL HUSNA, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, AISY. Okay, my name is RAUDHAOTUL and today I will discuss about the history of translation. First, the introduction section. We need to know that the theory and changes that have occurred in the history of translation are different from place to place. For example, such as development in the Western world, it's very different from developments in the Eastern world. Well, let's move on to the discussion about the review of translation theory. Next slide. In fact, the pioneers of this field were renowned Roman commentators such as Cicero and Quintilian, who regarded translation as pedagogical exercise with debates about translation practice were concerned with word for word and meaning for meaning translation. In the 17th century, an influential theory emerged, the most obvious of which was the work of John Dryden, 1631 until 1700, namely the trichotomy of the translation type. There are metapraise, paraphrase, and imitation. Then, to serve the translator's own literary ambition, he instead supported paraphrasing or translation by latitude, which seeks to translate meaning. In the early 19th century, Romanticism addressed the problem of translating and untranslation in 1813. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for RAUDHAOTUL. Next speaker is myself. I will explain the part A and B. Slide A. Previous slide sebelumnya. Okay. 1900 until 1930s. During the 1900 to 1930s. In translation theory, the crucial trends are rooted in German literary and philosophical tradition and hermeneutic. It is considered that language is not communicative, but constitutive in its representation of thought and reality. Next. B. 1940 until 1950s. In the 1940s to 1950s, the prevalent concept is translatability. During this decade, the main issue to be tackled by linguists and literary critics is that whether the differences that separate the language and culture can be brought back to friendship via translation or not, on the basis of his semiotic approach to language and his aphorism. There is no signatum without signum. By Jacobson, he suggests three kinds of translation. The first is intralingual, interlingual, and intersemiotic. Okay, that's all for me. Next speaker is Salsabila Indah Suciani will be explain part C and D. Salsabila Indah, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, IC. My name is Salsabila Indah Suciani. I will discuss about C and D in C 1960 until 1917. In the 1960s to 1970s. Okay. The main prevailing concept in translation studies is equivalence. Color 1979A P185. In answering what this concept means, enunciates 5 types of equivalence. First, denotative equivalence or equivalence of the extralinguistic content of a text. It is called content invariance. Number 2, connotative equivalence. It's mean depending on the similarities of register and style. Color refers to this as stylistic equivalence. Okay, next. Okay, number 3, text normative equivalence is relating to text types with different kind of the text behaving in different way. And number 4, pragmatic equivalence or communicative equivalence is oriented towards the receiver of the text or on or message. Number 5, formal equivalence relating to the aesthetics and the form of the text. Okay, next. Okay, next D. 1880s. In this decade, Susan Besnet's translation studies is published in her book. The first branch of translation research are combined, marking the resurgence of translation studies as a separate file overlapping with linguistic, literary criticism, and philosophy. Next slide. Oh, okay. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for explanation by Salsabila. Next speaker is Via ELAMANISA will explain the part D and the part E and conclusion. Via ELAMANISA, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Via ELAMANISA. I will explanation the point E and conclusions. I will explain the point E and conclusions. First, E. 1990s and beyond. Translation studies in the last decade of the 20th century established itself as purely separate discipline. Thanks to the scholarly publications and worldwide disseminations of translator training programs. A new kind of textbooks appears, as well a book of theories presenting research methodologies to students. Jadi di tahun 1990 ini, studi penerjemahan menemukan salah satu judul buku yaitu tentang buku teori yang menyajikan metodologi penelitian kepada siswa. Next slide. Conclusions. The history of translation studies and the resurgence and genesis of the approach to these emerging disciplines was marked by the first century or BCE. Commentator Cicero and then St. Jerome was word for word and sense for sense. Process to translation was a springboard for other approaches and trends to thrive. From 1950s, each decade was marked by a dominant concepts such as translatability and equivalence. Okay, that's all from me. Sorry for my mistake, and thank you.
Okay, thank you for explanation by Pia Elmanisa. That's all explanation from us. We are sorry if we are make mistake. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.